in one day when he said, you know how you're trying to do your housework, you know, knock, knock, knock? And he cheered me up no end one day when he said, well, he said, we get out of school, he says, a week from today, and he says, and then I can come over and see you every day. Well, anyway, one day he came over to see me, and I was making these envelopes ready to go out in the mail, and I had about 40 of them. And I had a little jar of water there, and I'd take a little cloth, and I'd go over the envelope and then press it down and do it all very neatly. He says, can I do it for you? And I said, okay. I says, this is how you do it. And then you pile it in a nice little pile, and you do it very, very neatly. And then I said as a joke, I said, if you do it nicely now, Mark, you can drink the water. So I went into the living room, you know, to do something out. I came out in the kitchen. He had those envelopes done. They were done beautifully, and there he was drinking the water. On that same day, a woman came down the street, and she says, do you know where Jack Fortune lives? And I says, no, he's nobody I know, but let's go in the house. We'll look it up in the telephone book, and maybe I can find out where he lives for you. And so she did. She came into the house. We found the number. He lived right across the street. And then my husband came into the house, and he says, where did that girl go? So I told him, she's gone to seek her fortune. Now, the last little story I have to tell you, folks, is about a little extra out in Hollywood. You know, he never had a speaking part before. No speaking part before. So he got his first speaking part, and this is all he had to do. See, he was in a room, another man was in a room, and then a third man came into the room, and he said he was supposed to say to the little extra, did you see that man come into the room? And the little extra was supposed to say, I did. That's all he had to say, I did. And he went home and he rehearsed it and rehearsed it and rehearsed it. You know, there's lots of ways you can say it. He says, I did, I did, I did. And it came time for the room. He says, did you see that man come into the room? And the little extra said, did I?
There's nothing right
Hi
now.
there,
I'm a past Grand Regent. I was the second past Grand Regent.
You were?
Yeah, the organization started in 1947. And Ethel Solomon was the first Grand Regent, and then I was the second Grand Regent. And we had we had around 184 charter members.
Is that right?
And we did a lot of charity work and different committees that took care of whatever they were assigned to do. Outside of that, well, everything went very wonderful.
You did very well. Now, past Grand Regent, that would cover what area?
Well, that's the past Grand Regent of this organization, Fort Mater Dei.
Of this chapter?
Yes.
I see. I see. There's a regent, or a Grand Regent is the same thing as a regent?
Well, they call them regents now.
You're not grand up there, Ev. I don't know how grand now.
And the different offices.
Martha Marachak, and she's the incoming president. Are you worried, Martha?
Yes.
I think you're going to be a terrific president, because when we called on you to come up, you said, well, I have a vice president.
That's all right. Things were going to have twins. He was a little shook. So when they were born, he called my folks at home, and he spoke to my aunt, and he said, Betty, he said, we have a baby. And she said, oh, great. She said, we have the cradle. We're all ready for you. And he said, no, Betty, you'll have to have two cradles.
So that's how he broke it.
That's how he broke it.
Yeah. How old are yours?
My twins are 6.
They're 6.
Yes.
And they're boys?
They're boys, yes. Yeah. Stephen and Anthony, after the grandfathers.
I was on radio in Boston. It was one of these swap shows, you know, they call in and swap things, and this woman called in, and she said that she had twins. She had a boy and a girl, and the announcer was very, very sleepy, and apparently he didn't hear her say that, and after about 2 or 3 minutes, he says, so you have twins, are they identical? A boy and a girl, how can they be identical? In speaking to ladies groups, you know, I was pretty casual about my dress, and one night I went out to talk to Zonta, and they were meeting in this very fancy restaurant, you know. And I came in and dressed a little too casually. But anyway, I was sitting down waiting for them to get all ready for it. And the girl sitting next to me, she says, I just found out that you're our speaker tonight. I thought you were the busboy. I was taking this course, girls. You know, this is at the State University of New York. Oh, you have no idea how many, you know, there's 2,500 students up there. At least there's 2,500 people registered. Whether they're all students or not is another question. And I would go from building to building, girls, day after day, and I'd never see a face that I knew. And then one day I had great luck. I was going from another building to another class, and there I saw a face, somebody I recognized, a dog. A little beagle with a tan face. And that dog was so comical, girls. He would go off to the campus. He'd come on every morning at 8 o'clock, I'd see him. And then at 3:30 in the afternoon, that dog would walk home. You know, and he was all tired out, you know, from being on the campus all day. And he'd walk home like this. You know, he was all tired out. And the way he walked, I knew he was a professor. Any of you girls ever been in Buffalo? They have a thing called Humboldt Park. Right downtown in Buffalo, Humboldt Park. Well, this little kid had been in Sunday school, and he came home, and his mother says, "What'd you learn?" And the little kid says, "I learned that Jesus sneaked through Humboldt Park." And his mother got on the phone. She called up the Sunday school teacher, and she says, "What did you teach my kid?" And the Sunday school teacher says, "I told everybody that Jesus had a meek and humble heart." And they advertised at this, they sent around a little flyer to this party that we were all supposed to go for. This is the party at Meanigan was there, and it said that they were going to have a modest cash bar. And when I got there, I noticed that the more and more cash went into the bar, the less and less modest the people got.
To emphasize the prevention, and that it's really important that that people learn to understand one another and how to accept each other and these kind of other skills I
like
mentioned.
the old saying, an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Exactly.
'Cause it's
How long
much-
have you been a gold miner?
A gold miner? Well,
you
my
said
boss
before you
thinks
were a miner.
forever. And my husband thinks forever. No, what is a gold miner?
Well, you said before you were a miner. I thought you meant a gold miner or something. I thought I'd kind of caught some
No,
of your
I meant
original
I was under 21.
Oh, I thought
Or is
so.
it under 19? Which is a minor nowadays?
I don't know anymore.
And your name
Man
again?
is able to render first aid. He is protected under what they call a Good Samaritan law, just like a doctor is.
Training at all
That's
to join.
that's right. And like I say, along with our fundraising drive, we are also appealing for members, and we anytime during the year, not just now, but anytime during the year, we're always looking for new people. Because, yeah, maybe so. But anyways, the rest, we have had over 18,000 runs.
Is that right?
Yes. And we have gone, the mileage-wise,
That's more than my pantyhose have had, folks.
mileage-wise,
So we've been on a tour of the Post-Star, Glens Falls. Don, it's been a wonderful tour, and we've had a grand time. Did you enjoy it?
Enjoyed having you very much. We're very proud of our new plant, and we're thrilled you came down to show it to so many people in the community on your program.
My goodness, we saw everything there was, didn't we?
Just about everything we have
We
here.
didn't go in the men's room, we didn't go in the girls' room, but everything else we saw.
Everything else that's here, I think you've seen, yes.
Don, what's your history in newspapering?
Oh, I've been with the Post-Star and Times since 1961.
Really?
When I came back to work from a few years in
You
Boston.
weren't that old.
Oh, I'm very well kept, that's all.
I see, well preserved. Well, Don, you better be careful. I heard one guy say that he was well preserved, and somebody else says that's because he was pickled all his life. Don, interesting. That comes from your communications background and study at the Boston University.
Well, I'd hope I didn't waste my father's money on both those degrees for nothing. I got to come up with some of it.
You got 2 degrees.
Yeah,
Right.
public communication and journalism.
You suppose he's in for the 3rd degree, folks?
Oh, I've had that too.
Oh, yes. And the principal of the school, he got kind of skittish, you know, about the parents. And he says, none of you children can come over to school until you have the written permission of your parents. And so the poor little kids had already started for the church school, and he called us up and he says, as soon as they get there, you make sure that they come right back. And so they got in, they came into the church, you know, they get all ready for their games and for their good fun, and we had to send them right back. But we got each one of them to say a prayer. And this little boy said, "Thank you, God, for this, and thank you, God, for that, and thank you, God, for this. And God, forgive our principal for making us go back to school." Oh, and this is sort of funny. I was down helping a woman, and there was a kitten on the sidewalk. And the woman wanted to go across the street to her house. And she didn't want the kitten to follow her, you know, because she's afraid the kitten would go out and get hit by a car. So she was saying to the kitten, "Shoo, kitty, shoo, kitty, shoo, kitty, shoo, kitty, shoo, kitty." And the more she did it, you know, the more the kitten would rub up against her ankles, you know, the way kittens do. And the kitten looked up at her, all the world as if to say, "Yes, but which shoe?" My husband and I were home one day, and a telephone rang, and it was his day off, and it was the people at work, and here they are calling him up on his day off. And so they asked for him, and I knew, of course, that I had to call him to the phone, but I didn't want to, because it really was his day off. And so I was hesitating as long as I could, you know. And Gilda, the switchboard operator, said to me, "Glendora, why don't you call Franklin to the phone?" And I says, "Because, Gilda, he's doing the housework and it grieves me to interrupt him." And this woman I was interviewing, folks, was a warden in the Ladies' Air Raid Club in London, you know, during the war. Of course, that was no joke. But anyway, it sort of amused me. I asked her in the Ladies' Air Raid Club if there were a lot of sirens. Oh. But she said, this I thought was sort of amusing, folks. We moved into this new apartment. It was in terrible condition. Oh, it was awful. And so to get it going right, we had to do the ceilings, we had to do the walls, and we worked way into the night, and we worked 7 days a week, and we even worked on Sunday, you know, putting up this paint, you know, all this paint. And the first report that went out into the neighborhood about us, because we were doing this on Sunday, was that we were holy rollers. This one little boy, he came up to me, and he had just finished eating his cookies, and he says, "Miss Glendora," he says, "what'll I do with my cookie crumbs?" And I says, "Well, let's go out into the alley out here and see if we can't give them to somebody." And there were a lot of ants there, you know, a big lot of ant hills. And so he sprinkled his cookie crumbs all over the place. And I said, "Michael, you've made the ants very happy." And he's down on his knees, you know, and he looks up at me and he says, "I wish I could see the smiles on their faces." You know, remember the awful scare we used to have on the campus? You know, you don't have it anymore. And I was taking a class up there, and they had rumored that on May 15th a bomb was going to go off. And so on May 15th, the patrol car went around, and we were sitting there, you know, taking notes, and our professor was lecturing away, and this horrible buzzer sounded, and it sounded 3 times, it sounded 4 times, and he didn't, you know, let us go. He just kept right on lecturing. And it sounded again, and he went right through. He lectured for 10 minutes, and then the buzzer sounded again. And then I heard the patrol car going around the campus, and the patrol car was saying out the loudspeaker, "All clear in Hochstetter Hall. You can return to your classes now." Well, that's about all, except I thought this was kind of funny. My husband sings in the choir, and during the summertime, they don't have any choir, they just have soloists, and he was asked to sing a solo, and they put out this roster of all of the names of the soloists, and the names of the songs they were going to sing, the names of the sermon titles, see? And so it came out this way: August 17th, soloist Franklin Buell, sermon, "For Pity's Sake." This is kind of funny. A woman I was interviewing in the educational station down in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, they were making a film of the life of young George Washington. And they had it, you know, they had all uniforms and everything, you know, and they had the muskets, you know, and the whatever they had in those days. And then these people had been out filming it for 3-4 weeks, and they had to always wear these uniforms. They had to sleep in and everything, you know, just as if they were George Washington soldiers. And so this girl who was working for the television station, she was going back to Pittsburgh, and she asked a couple of guys if they'd like to go back, you know, to see their families that night, and they were wild to do it, you know. So she loaded up her car. She had 6 of the actors in there, you know, and they had all those old uniforms on, you know, and those old what do you call them, muskets, right? And so they were driving along everything, and they came to the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and the woman wouldn't let them on. She really thought it was an invasion. And I was going...
The advantages of breastfeeding to the mother and the baby is the first
That's the first...
of the series.
Oh, that's the first, the advantages of breastfeeding.
To the mother and the baby. And then the...
Like for the benefit of new people or something?
Yeah, and you know, if you start out like in your first month of pregnancy, you hit it twice, and you know, and the second time.
You hit it twice, that means you're going to have twins?
No. And so you know, you're bound.
What kind of a dance is that over there? That one must be a cable TV president. That's where they sign up for unemployment. This is what I do to you folks. I hand you out corn every day at 6 o'clock. I get the button on. Quack, quack, quack. It sounds like a meeting of the American Medical Association.
Show it to you.
Oh, good. We're going to show you the engine in just a second. This is the engine to the 1905 Oldsmobile, folks. Where's the one cylinder?
That's the cylinder right there.
That one?
Yep, that's the one cylinder. This here is the gas tank, and this is the water tank.
Gas tank and water tank. And what's this, a toolbox?
Toolbox.
There's a 1905 Oldsmobile, folks, with scotch tape in the toolbox. Folks, I went over to be on Channel 7 and to make a tape, and I went into the host of the program says, "Don't you want to go into the girls' room and freshen up?" I probably looked as though I needed to. So anyway, I went into the girls' room, and it amused me. You know, there were coffee mugs all over on the counter, and there were 4 coffee mugs, and this was in the girls' room, and one mug said Sue, and the other mug said Dot, and then another mug said Joan, and the 4th one said Sam.
Should have said Vic.
I called up this fellow about my tape recorder. He's a place that fixes videotape recorders, you know, and I said, "Is Bob there?" And he says, "No." And I said, "Is Lillian there?" And he says, "No." And I said, "Is John there?" And he says, "No." He says, "There's nobody here but us chickens." And I told him, I says, "I've seen you and you ain't no chicken." This you'll like a lot. I had this marriage counselor. I was interviewing him on television. And it was Dr. So-and-so and so-and-so will talk with Glendora about marriage counseling. And this is the way it came out in the newspaper. It says, "Dr. So-and-so will appear on a chat with Glendora to talk about marriage canceling." I went in to do a program for this group, and it was held in a rather nice lounge, cocktail lounge, and my mother went along with me for company, and as I came in the door, you know, with all my equipment, one of the guys sitting at the end of the table, he says, "Here comes the floor show." He says, "I want the one on the left." He was talking about my mother. And this fellow I was talking to, this fellow that I was talking to, he's very upset with the club's members with whom he belonged, and he had a legitimate complaint, all right, and I was trying to make him feel better about it, you know. I was trying to comfort him. And I says, don't worry, amico. And then I had to go away, and then he was talking to somebody else, and I came back into the conversation, and he was telling somebody else that his daughter had just had a baby, 9 pounds, 4 ounces. And I came back into the conversation, you know, and I wanted to cheer him up and gloss everything over for him. I says, don't worry, amico. Bigger and better things are going to happen. He says, bigger and better than 9 pounds, 4 ounces. You know, just bark. I was teaching these children. They had a little counting book, you know, and it said about a grouchy lion has more friends than a smiley lion. It says a grouchy lion has 1 hippopotamus friend, a smiling lion has two monkey friends, and a smiley lion has 3 kangaroo friends. Then after that, the kids would say prayers, you know, after I would teach them all this. And this is one little girl's prayer. She says, thank you, God, for the hippopotamus, and thank you, God, for the monkeys, and thank you, God, for the kangaroos. You give them such nice shelter for their kids.
Yeah, but what about those girls?
I came out of the bathroom one night, girls, and my mother said to me, you smell so good, what'd you put on? And I told her, Ma, it ain't what I put on, it's what I took off.
I'll buy that one.
My mom, girl, just before she was the governess for this little girl up in Maine. The girl would come up with her family from Boston every year. And so during the winter, and at the end of the fall, you know, they'd all go home. And during the winter, the girl came up, and my mother had to change her glasses. I don't mean the girl came up. I mean during the winter, my mother had to change her glasses. And then when the girl came up next summer, she wouldn't have anything to do with my mother. And my mother says, why, Priscilla, that's not like you. And whatsoever is the matter with you? And the little girl says, Edna, you know, being from Boston, has changed her face, and I do not care for it. Boy who came to church school, and he'd say wonderful prayers, and this was his prayer. This was terrific. He says, thank you, God, for the moon that you made. Thank you, God, for the sun that you made. Thank you, God, for all the planets that you made, and thank you, God, for all the worlds that you made, such as Italy. What?
About 5 or 6 months prior to convention, the local leagues are asked to decide within their own groups what they feel the league should be studying or just what direction it should be taken. And these are all sent into the national office from all across the country, so that we have this grassroots idea, which is so important to our organization.
We're sitting right on the grassroots.
We sure are. And
this is Mona Obi. Anything else that you wanted to tell us?
No, I think that's it. I think we pretty well got everything together. Anybody can.
Is that the name of this group? Glenfell's Area Insurance Fund. And that was Suzanne Boulet. Suzanne, are you the president last year, this year? No, this year. You're the new president this year. You know, this little girl, she was only 5, and she came out to talk to me. She lived in an apartment up above. And 5. Would she be 5, girls? Let's see. She was in nursery, so that would be 4. Be 5. 4, and kindergarten's 5, right? Yeah. And so she said to me, folks, she says, I'll be so glad when I get to kindergarten. She says, those songs that we're singing in nursery school are so babyish. We went out shopping, Sue, and she saw this, and she said that, and she said to the clerk, she said, she had this little money bag, and she said to the clerk, how much is that? And the clerk says, that's 59 cents. And she said, I know, but how many dimes and how many nickels is that? And she saw something out that caught her eye, you know, and she said to the clerk, she says, how much is this? And the clerk says, that's $1.69. And she said, things are so expensive in this store. So she had a real problem. And, you know, I could see now why we talk so much, you know, why women talk so much. When you have a problem on your mind, you keep, and you think, you know, maybe somebody's going to come up with a solution for you. That's why we keep talking so much, really. And so she kept talking about this problem. She says, my mother wants me to go across the street and see if I can find Fluff. Well, you see, what her mother wanted to do is go to all the doors, knocks on the door, and say, have you seen Fluff? you know, their dog. And she really didn't want to do it. And she says, do you think I should do what my mother asked me to do? Well, I wasn't going to get in the middle of that, right? And so she kept talking and talking and talking, and finally she says, well, I can't do it. She says, besides, I don't know where across the street is. And I was washing the car in the meantime, girls, and she said, your car is beautiful. She says, did you get it furnished? So she had these little purses. They were cute little purses, no bigger than this. And I says, Kit, what do you have in your little purses? And she says, well, here I have my stamp collection. And she took out maybe 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 postage stamps that she had. And then over in the other purse, she had this allowance that she was so anxious to spend. And she says, and this is my money collection. So she was telling me that for her birthday, she wanted a stamp album. I thought to myself, gee, that'd be keen. Maybe I could get her a stamp album for her birthday. So I thought, you know, it would be next week or something. I said, Kit, when is your birthday? And she said, 10 months. And Robert, their little friend across in another apartment, in Victoria, came out of the apartment, and Victoria says, Kit, he'll do it for you if you give him 25 cents. And Kit was going up to her apartment, and she called back over her shoulder. She says, I can't, I'm broke. And so she told me, you know, how she got all this money, you know, in her money collection. And she says, you know, the good fairy, when I lose a tooth, the good fairy puts money under my pillow. And she was saying, for this tooth, I got 25 cents. And she says, for this tooth, I got 50 cents. And for this tooth, I got 10 cents. She says, those molars, you don't get a penny for those. Fluff was on the chain, and I thought, gee, Kit, it'd be nice if you'd take Fluff for a walk. And she says, well, I can't. And I says, gee, Kit, you could take Fluff for a walk. And she says, no, you take Fluff for a walk. And I says, Kit, you really could do it. And she says, no. She says, we're moving tomorrow, and I have to save my energy. Well, in truth, girls, they did move, and I really missed them. And I went up to see them later on, I guess about a couple months after they'd moved. And I went in, I saw the cat, and I saw Kit, and I saw Angel, and I saw the mother. And we were talking away, and when Kit got the opportunity, she sidled up to me, and she says, Glendora, Fluff is a grown-up now. I was talking to this woman who was doing, what, they have these teachers' helpers, do they? In school, what do they call them? Teacher aides? Yeah, teacher aides. And they had 45 children in one schoolroom. Fantastic. So anyway, I says, how did you like it? And she says, oh, I liked it very much. She says, all except the first day that it rained, and all of the boys wore yellow slickers. You know, yeah. So I mean, you know, like it's time to go home. You know, which slicker is yours? No names on them. You know, they all look alike. Right. I was taking this course, folks, and I had a problem, and I couldn't figure it out. So I asked the professor, you know, to explain it to me. And he was sitting down, I was standing up, and as he was explaining to this, a piece of hair fell off of my shoulder and fell right where he was talking, you know, and I was so embarrassed, you know. And so he stopped everything. You know, and he says, do you know why that hair has the shape that it does? And what he was trying to get across to me was that it had the shape that it did because of the protein molecules that was in it, because some professor had been there lecturing on protein molecules. And I didn't know this, you know, I was too dumb to know this. And I didn't say anything because I didn't know what to say. And he says, do you know why that hair has the shape that it does? And I got so nervous, I said, well, yes, I did it up last night. Suzanne Boulay, she was just over to Colonial Cable with me. She saw a picture of Bob Hope. That was Bob Hope's wife who was in the
Right.
Yeah. And she made a very good remark, I thought. It was a press conference, and one of the people asked her, how many children do you have, Mrs. Hope? And she said, we have 4. She says, 3 are married, but the 4th one is able to take care of himself. This friend I have has 3 or 4 cats, and the children in the neighborhood, you know, just love to come over and see the cats. They just come in and say, can I see the cats? And so this boy who'd been in several times brought in a new friend. And Nancy says, the new friend was looking at the cat. And Nancy says, wait a second, I'll go get Susie. And so she went out of the dining room, she got Susie, and then she says, wait, I'll go get Sam. She went out and she got Sam, and she says, now would you like to see Jack? She went out and she got, and as she was on her way out to the kitchen, the new little boy said to the usual little boy who came for visits, how much cats has she? And the new little boy said a kind of little thing, Nancy likes to paint. And so she was there painting, at her easel. And the new little boy says, my father paints. And Nancy says, really, does he? What does he paint? And the little boy says, oh, he paints all sorts of abstract things like people. And now, folks, I would like to have you... Hi there, folks. This is Chat with Glendora, Colonial Cablevision Channel 12. And this is Barbara Del Signore. Hi, Barb.
Hi, Glendora. It's so nice to be here.
Oh, it's good to see you. Don't move away from us,
No,
Barbie.
I won't.
What can you tell us about your interesting work?
Well, first of all, what I'd like to talk about mainly today is the School of Careers. I think most people realize that I own the local modeling agency in Glens Falls, which is located also in Saratoga and Schenectady. But we have a lot of young women who feel it's about time they needed a change in their life, what I call a new lease on life. So they call, how can I enroll in the school? Do you have an age barrier? We don't. I mean, age shouldn't be an obstruction. Here, anybody and everybody should be included. I don't think that it's too late for anybody to start to have to worry about, gee, am I over the hill? Should I, start right now making improvements? You can start at any age. I think it's necessary.
Over the hill is better than under the hill, Barb.
Right. Okay, a certain height, and they learn their bone structure, which is small, medium, or large. They then realize that there is a certain weight you should be within, and allowing yourself one way or the other to fluctuate a few extra pounds. With having this goal in mind, if they should be over that, they have something to work toward, and that's what they will be doing. But they also learn that when they go into a store, they don't always have to depend solely on the sales clerk that's there. Because when you walk into a store...
Or isn't there?
Right, or isn't there. And that's true. That is very true. You have to learn how to take care of yourself. Because how many times have you walked in and someone is following you around? This can be a little bit annoying. There are other people may like what you have on or you've been trying on. So it's very easy for somebody else to say, that really does look good. And then maybe 2 or 3 of the sales girls will chime in. And I'm not pointing a finger at a sales clerk. I was a sales clerk for a long time. I'm saying this is human nature. I'm saying it does happen, and I'm not putting sales clerks down. I'm just saying if you know yourself and you know what you can wear, you can depend on your own judgment, and you can feel very self-assured that when you did make that purchase, that was not money wasted. It is not even time wasted, because if you have been talked into it, which can happen many times, and you go home and all of a sudden your husband, he's the one you have to please, or a boyfriend or whatever will say, gee, that doesn't look like it to us. You can add a scarf, put a piece of jewelry with it. When you take it off, it's simple. It's a little bit more buddy. They determine how to select the form. And when they have done this, it will then determine the hairstyles that they're either limited or unlimited with. Now, the only perfect shaped face is oval. And the only one that is closest to that after that is the heart shape. And here with both shaped faces, you really don't have a problem as far as how many hairstyles or what hairstyle you would like to wear. So the object of all the others, whether it's square or round or whatever it might be.
Mine is question mark.
No, I would say you have pretty much, let's see, an oblong. Yes, you have pretty much an oblong face. Now,
That's because I haven't slept.
Now, with something like that, if you're trying to achieve the oval look, you can do this by certain hairstyles and balancing all. So that was the only thing we have made a change in this year. for the sake of a lot of people, you know, as well as myself.
Oh, surely, right.
Right. But I think it's educational, it's promising, it's perfect for anybody who cares about themselves or what their future might hold.
Yeah. It gives you a lot of confidence.
Yes, I think that for the gal who lacks confidence, this is probably the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Because as females, you have to remember, as females, we all together go through all the same problems.
Welfare.
You know, no matter what your
Supplemental security income under Social Security office. I was saying that our people, rural people, are too proud to go on welfare. So
This is in Hamilton County, folks.
So I've never been able to get them to accept a public assistance check, but I was able to get them to sign up for the supplemental security income, as being their average Social Security is $80 a month.
I see.
Because there's no stigma attached to it. It's not administered by the welfare department.
I see.
This makes quite a difference.
Oh, yeah.
The welfare department seems to have a stigma attached, and and people are just too proud to ask for help.
Not me. I see, and so, but you can get them to take this SSI check.
Yes, because it's administered by the Social Security office. It's a federal program. You do not have to be questioned. Once you're on, you're on. You don't have to be recertified every 3 months. You don't have to bring in all your receipts. It goes strictly by your income. You are...
Of course, as you say, is in great shape. We haven't had any real rain around here in about 3 weeks. Can you recognize which group this is coming in, Bud?
Yes, this is Jack Wilson and Bill Toon of Wilmington, Delaware, and that's John Hallett and his guest, Bill Prescott, also of Wilmington, Delaware, I believe.
Well, Bill Toon, of course, is well known in the area, having been a resident here for a number of years, and a very avid golfer.
Right.
Very good golfer, too.
Excellent golfer.
And Bill Prescott is now living where?
I believe in Wilmington. Used to be with the Hercules Company here.
I see. Is this John Hallett coming in?
That's John Hallett hitting up.
4 of the very finest golfers at the country club.
Bill Toon plays out of the Wilmington Country Club.
Well, he'd be down there with Ray Clark and Bill Nickel and some of the other
That's right.
local lads, eh? I think Bill Toon has put on a little weight.
He's out of tune?
Off to the right. And Ernie with the hat on. Ernie Higgins, Dr. Ernest Higgins.
Tuesday and Thursday nights here at the Queensberry Field at 6:30 sharp.
Would you explain to her, Joe, some of the player positions that we're looking for where we have openings?
Well, we're looking primarily right now at some running backs. We've been depleted in our running back corps through injuries. And right now we are looking for running backs, and we need some running backs. And we would be very interested in anybody who would like to come out to give it a shot. We're also looking for some deep secondary men to play the defense. We have been again hit here with injuries, and we could use some help in this particular position.
I'm a running back. I had to run back twice tonight, Joe, for stuff I forgot.
They're practicing on the junior bantam, the bigger team, and they're our oldest team. We started with the junior bantam 6 years ago. This is our 6th year. The head coach down there of the Saints is Jack Daly from Glens Falls. And while you can't see him because behind Brent Hill's bench, our other team in green and white is the smallest team, a junior midget team, and their head coach is Ken Veely from South Glens Falls. They're all assisted by several coaches.
I'll tell you what, I know there's a blanket.
Gee, it's a good thing those guys are bow-legged. We couldn't see what was going on.
Well, there's a boy down. He probably had the wind knocked out of him. And they're looking at his eyes just for a quick check.
25,000 students are registered. There's an uncertainty as to how many are students, but anyways, 25,000 people registered. And you girls, you will go from building to building on that campus, and I did this for 8 weeks, and I never saw a face that I'd ever seen before, you know, other than right in the classroom. You know, that's how it is. And now finally, on the 9th week, I saw somebody I recognized, and I was so pleased. It was a dog. A black dog with a brown face, and there's a little beagle who lives on Winspear, and he goes off to the campus every morning. Around 8:30 every morning, that dog goes to campus, and he comes back every afternoon at precisely 3:30, and he's all tired out, and he walks home like this, you know. He's so tired out, and I know the way he walks, he's a professor. Oh, I have a PhD friend. He always uses the expression, you know, keep the courage flaming. You know, it really appeals to me. So I caught right onto it, and wherever I'd go, I'd say to somebody, keep the courage flaming. And so I was having a telephone conversation with a girl, a woman, and she said, oh, we were talking. It was a really good conversation, and I wanted to end it cheerfully. You know, I was going to say, keep the courage flaming, when all of a sudden, I fortunately remembered to whom I was speaking. She was the president of a women's auxiliary for a volunteer fire company. You know, did you remember a couple years ago Bob Hope was here, and he got a degree for a humanitarian, Doctor of Humanitarian Letters? Do you remember that? Well, we were out there to see him, and somebody asked him about sending him a tape. And the person wanted to make sure that Bob Hope would get it, you know, because he gets so much mail. And he pointed to this man over his shoulder, and he says, his name's Bill Faith. Well, it struck me so funny, you know. Here's Hope getting a degree for charity, followed by Faith. Dora Richardson, she's on Channel 4. Is she still on Channel 4? I haven't been in the city for a while. On Dora Richardson on Identity, Channel 4, Saturday afternoon. Well, you see, this is a really good one. She had seen this hat down in one of our expensive stores downtown. She wanted that hat so much. It was just before Easter, but it really was a steep price. So she was washed that hat, you know, in the window. And it wasn't sold Saturday night before Easter. Well, she was delighted, because Monday morning she was right down there the first thing, and she got that hat, and she put it on her head, you know, and it looked so good. It was just the hat she wanted, and it was 1/3 off. And so, and as she's putting on this hat, she sees another hat, you know, sitting there on the counter. So she took off the first hat, and she put on this first hat, and a woman came along, and the woman was fascinated by Dora, and Dora's quite tall. And so Dora says, you like this hat? And the woman says, I love that hat. And Dora says, I think this is a wonderful hat. And the woman says, that's my hat. What you can think of, Sally?
Well, there is one thing I would like to add, and that's that if you do happen to leave the area, there's never any problem. International sends your name on to the city where you're going, and probably the first phone call you get when your phone is installed is from a sister.
Isn't that keen?
We like to say you have instant friends.
That's right.
So you see, once you get into this group, you can't get out of it.
Right.
You're right. Let's see now, Carolee. Is it Carolee? Coral.
Right.
Yeah, come on over, Carolee. Right. Yeah, right. There you are, huh? Can't you put in a good word for this great group?
It's a terrific group, really.
Yeah.
And I might add, when Sally was talking about transfers, she transferred from the Philippines. So you
She
see
did?
her all over the world, not just in the United States.
Right. That's neat. So it truly is an international organization. You were down at the end of the road there, and you were, how fast were these girls going by when you flagged them down?
They weren't going too fast. I think they were kind of looking. Right. We had just headed home to call Carol to find out where we were supposed to be.
Now, you ladies who've gone through the line, have you had any afterthoughts, anybody? Anything you'd like to say? It'd be, come right over, Evelyn, then. Evelyn says, I have an afterthought, and then she said to her sister, go tell them about it.
This is Bunny's idea.
Oh, it's Bunny's idea. All right.
I forgot to tell you that we do have a scholarship.
Oh, good. Then would you come over and stand to my good? That way you'll be facing the folks. Yeah, tell us about the scholarship.
We do have a scholarship. Every year we alternate Bangor High School, Brewer High School, and John Baptist High School.
Neat. And how do people apply for this?
Oh, yes, we have a mitten bank, too, Bunny says.
A mitten bank?
It's for the fine arts, I think. It's chosen at the school. Someone that qualifies, that needs the help, and so forth.
I'm
poor graduate student in physics. Could you help me out?
I think so. I think so. What high school?
We're getting hold it, folks. We're getting a hot word here from Peggy Youngblood. What was it, Peggy, we should talk about?
Well, all I was interested in was notifying people that Beta Sigma Phi is very much interested in joining with other community efforts toward making Bangor and Brewer a better place to live. For instance, we would love to see a winter carnival in this area, and so would so many other organizations.
Yeah, you can make Bangor and Brewer a much better place to live. I'll just move out.
Well, that's a start, but there are a few other problems. I think people who move in here would like to see more community activities and more organizations that they could join.
Sure they would, right. Anybody? Yeah, here comes our esteemed president right over here on the T-square.
The thing I wanted to bring out was our main state convention this year is going to be in Bangor.
Neat.
June 8th, 9th, and 10th at Hudson College.
All those drunken women are coming into Bangor.
And our theme is Happiness is Making Friends.
Nice. Very nice. That's good. These are the afterthoughts, I think, are better than the main thoughts. Anybody else have anything? Our Philippines member, won't you come back and tell us how you happen to come to Bangor from the Philippines?
My husband retired from the service, and we came to Bangor to live.
You decided to stay with him, right? You decided to come with him.
Right.
Right. And he was in what? He
was in the Air Force.
In the Air Force, right. How do you like it up here? Nice.
We love it.
Yeah.
We've spent 15 years in the tropics.
Oh, boy.
And so it's been a really pleasant change. I think I'm the only person in Bangor that prays for snow.
Well, sure. Sure, now we know who it is. Well, that's grand. This has been Beta Sigma Phi International Sorority. And if anybody else have anything you'd like to say? Well, this is your last chance. Anybody? All right. Well, we really enjoyed being with you this morning. And thanks so much, girls, for coming. You gave us a grand program. Bye, everyone. Be as nice as you can to everybody. It's gymnastics and games. Could you just give us an idea of what it consists of?
Well, some days we would have in gym tumbling exercises like that.
That's what you have at recess in school, isn't it?
Well, something like that. And other days we might play a game like bombardment or
Oh, yeah, right.
kickball.
Yeah, right. Bombardment is what you do on the way to the cafeteria, I hear. And what do you do in the pool?
In the pool, first we have a period of lessons, and after that we have a little while to play in the pool or practice what we just learned.
Oh, yeah, and you like it a lot, right?
Yes.
And who's your teacher down there?
The pool director is Betty Solanzolo.
Oh, yeah. And would you recommend to the boys who are your age to come down and take part in that?
Well, I think if they really were interested in swimming and gymnastics, they could come down. And if they don't have to be too strong in the water because the wire will build them up.
Oh, good. So they could just come down after school any night, dear, Andre?
Well, they'd have to come down first and sign up with Bill.
What day?
They could come down any day, and Bill would put them in their age level group.
Oh, and that's how it goes?
Yes.
Andre Cushing, I think you're going to grow up to be a Bill Bennett yourself. You like the Y so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And now we have handsome Kevin Wright. Hi, Kevin. Tell the folks about your particular interest at the Y.
Well, it's gymnastics.
And you go right ahead.
Right. It's a group of boys that form a team, and they have to have a certain amount of skill and ability for gymnastics. It takes an awful lot of practice and time to get good.
It does, really?
Right.
Like how many hours, maybe a day?
Geez, at least 1 or 2. If they have a lot of time, it would be 6 to really get good.
And you and this could maybe lead to the Olympics, right?
Yes, I think we have about 3 possibilities for the Olympics.
You do, really? Mm-hmm. And would you like to get into this type of work?
Yeah.
When you grow up? Yeah, and in what way? In a Y or in a college? Or?
I'd like to get a scholarship into college and go to the Olympics, and then try to work out some kind of coaching for gymnastics.
I bet you'd be very good at it, Kevin. In gymnastics, that would be your field, right?
Right.
Yeah. And you have a horse down there and ropes and all
Well,
those?
we have a piece of apparatus, which is the side horse, the high bar, the rings, trampoline. We also use the mats for tumbling and floor exercises, but that isn't a piece of apparatus, but it is used.
Yeah. It's a good thing you don't use your baby sister for the trampoline, right? Thanks a lot, Kevin, right? And now we have Ted Taylor, folks. Handsome Ted Taylor with the blonde hair and the brown eyes. Ted, tell the folks your interest at the Y.
Well, I'm the vice president of the Leaders Club.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, and we help the teachers at the Y. With the kids, we ref games or tell them how to do an exercise or two.
To serve the people, if they are interested in receiving either a high school diploma or an equivalency of that, please see us. It's free.
It is?
It is free. For Bangor residents or non-residents. The only charge that we have for registration is for the avocational programs. And this second term, we'll be starting one for gymnastics for women. This should be interesting.
I think he's getting through to me.
And this will be offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It'll be an hour each evening. And I think it should be interesting. Charlotte Haskell will be the instructor.
Oh, yeah.
And it should be a good program.
Oh, very good, yeah.
Meet some of the prestigious members of the McAlpine Couples Club. And first of all, we'd like to know if Helen McInnes would come forward. Helen? Hi, Helen. Helen has just returned. Right up here, Helen. Helen has just returned from touring England, in Scotland, and Germany. Tell us about some of your nice experiences.
Well, we had a grand time. One of the first problems we had was when my husband tried to drive. And if any of you have ever driven a car in Britain, it's a new experience. The roads are about yay wide. You drive on the wrong side of the street. The driver sits over on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the right-hand side.
Right, and then he's over in the left lane.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's the way the women drivers do here, right?
Right. Wasn't too bad. We were doing quite well until the car broke down in Scotland. And, it was quite an experience. We were delayed a day and a half. But it was a real nice place that we were stopped in.
Where was that?
In one of these small towns like up in Maine, where they have a post office, a gas station, and a hotel and a pub. So it was a very nice town, though. But when they sent the relief car down, it was a 4 on the floor. And it's bad enough my husband hasn't driven a gear shift car in years.
Your husband's shiftless for another year.
Right, right. No fair, he isn't here.
Oh, he isn't here.
And besides that, you shift with your left hand.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yes, you shift with your left hand.
Oh, right, because you're sitting, that's right, yeah.
So it was kind of...
Hi, Jan. Now, Jan, I was wondering who that intelligent face belonged to. Yes,
Sure.
I did. Jan, you enjoy collecting antiques.
Well, I call them antiques. A lot of people call them junk, but especially my husband, he calls them junk. But I have to...
Did you say your husband is one of her antiques?
Well, yeah, sort of. He's sort of an antique, yeah. About Abraham Lincoln time, sort of. But, no, when I get an antique, I usually go, like, to a garage sale or something. I bring it home, and I quick scrub it up real good. And I stand it in a corner, in a very nice corner, so my husband comes in, he thinks it looks, nice. But I have a lot of fun.
So that means you do all your antique buying during the day.
That's right. And then my husband, he's very patient. He fixes them up, and I think...
He does?
Yes, he does. He's very good. I picked up an old ice box, which I always wanted, and I was riding down an old dirt road, and I saw an ice box out front, and I said to the lady, "How much you want for your ice box?" And she said, "Whatever you want to give me for it." So I gave her $3, and I brought it home, and my husband antiqued it, and it's a big conversation piece in our house.
Well, yeah, what do you use it for now?
Well, we store glasses in it, and when we have company, we store other things, I can't say because Reverend Munson's back there. Oh, Pepsi-Cola, that's right, it was Pepsi-Cola.
Would you get a close-up of Reverend Munson, please?
It was, his wife will vouch for that, it was Pepsi-Cola.
And you don't want to say anything more about it because Reverend Munson will be over there too often, is that it?
No, Reverend Munson hasn't made a trip to our house yet. I always keep the house spick and span, hoping someday he'll knock on the door. He'll be over one of these days. You put a block of ice in the top, and you put the pan underneath, and Gee, have a ball.
No, you really do use it as an icebox.
Oh, yes, we really
Where do you
do.
get ice these days?
Well, I go to one of those ice, well, I have to get the cubes. I can't get the chunks.
Oh,
So
I
get
see.
the-
Yeah, right. I remember those. Do you remember them?
That's why I get them. Oh, I love it.
No, do you remember them? You don't. But do you? Sure, I remember. And listen, Jan Slominski, one thing I want to just step over. One thing I want to ask you about. While I was talking to these people up in Maine, they're wild to get a roll-top desk. Why is this so valuable now?
Oh, gee, I couldn't tell you. I don't know that much about antiques. As I said, mine are mostly junk. Like, I have a little pot-belly stove, and I have a whipple tree, or I think you call it a whipple tree, I'm not sure, from, maybe George Dahman could tell me, from a cart, you know, where you used to put the, are you that old, George? I don't know. You put the reins, you know that thing I have in my, yes, all right. I bought it for $1 at a garage sale, and I bring it home, and I said, where are we going to put it? So we put it in our family room, and my husband says, well, now what are we going to do with it? So I said, gee, I don't know. He says, maybe we ought to put beams up in the family room. So that down, we put beams up in the family room. We went on, bought a horse collar, blinders, that's mounted on the wall. We have a butter churn, a rug beater, everything for this one thing I paid $1. To a garage sale, I picked up an old rocker that was stuffed with horse hairs, and I carried it home. I carried this big rocker home, parked it out front, scrubbed it up real good so it would look nice. My husband came home, he says, I hope you didn't pay anything for that. I didn't tell him I paid $4 for it. I told him $1 then, but it was really $4. I confess I couldn't keep it any longer. I did pay $4 for it. I lied. And you should see it. It's beautiful. He refinished it, and he covered it with, what do you cover it? Crushed velvet?
Yeah.
And it looks real nice. I have it in my living room.
Yeah.
Oh, in the commode. A lady
Wait
here.
just a second, please.
Are you running out of tape? I
Can you
told
get a
you'd
clock?
be
No.
sorry.
It isn't that. I want to shut it
Can I
off.
tell you? You want to shut that off for me?
No, I didn't want to shut you out. I just wanted to
I'll just tell you one more thing. A lady from church was going to throw this little stand out, and I call it a commode. Whenever I say a commode, somebody's looking for the bathroom or something, but it's really a commode. And she used it downstairs to store her washing powder on. And it was all white. It was painted white with linoleum on and everything. And I said, Ruth, if you're going to throw that out, I'll take it. So my husband over to pick it up, and he says, what are we going to do with that? So I had a brainstorm. I get the brainstorms, he does the work. So we covered it. He refinished it. He put shutters on, used the little doors, you know, and they look. And he put a back on it. And I have a bowl and pitcher on it now, and everybody that comes in, he stained it cherry wood, and everybody that comes in, they just marvel at it. So the lady who gave it to me came out, and she looked at it, and she says, that isn't the same stand you get. I said, yeah, it is. She said, oh, I'm not going to give you anything anymore.
No. I thought she was going to say, I want it back.
Oh, it's so beautiful. So as I said, antiques, I mean, I like vases and things that are antiques, but I really don't know the value of the things. If it looks old and dilapidated, I think it's an antique, so I buy it and I bring it home.
Oh, like Mr. Herms.
Yeah, I've offered him to come home, but he doesn't want to be refinished or anything like that.
Well, Jan Slominski, there's one thing I wanted to ask you.
What's that?
Well, I was just wondering about your old rocker, you know, that you fixed in there, right? And if you're not sitting in it, people think you're off your rocker.
Right, that's right. Sometimes I feel as though I am off my rocker, but other times, and by the way, it's the most comfortable rocker. Anybody's welcome to come out and sit in it. It's beautiful.
Jan, I think Jan would be great as an auctioneer, don't you?
Yeah,
Yeah, right. Thank you, Jan Slominski.
If it do be I, which I do hope it be, I've a little dog at home, and he'll know me. If it do be I, he'll wag his little tail. If it be not I, he'll loudly bark and wail. So home went the little old woman all in the dark. Up jumped the little dog, and he began to bark. He began to bark, and she began to cry. Lack of mercy on us, this is none of I.
Where did you learn that?
Well, I think I must have learned that when I was a child.
In Levant?
No.
Where?
Oh, probably around Bangor area somewhere.
Did you take elocution?
Yes.
Elocution was quite a thing to do, wasn't it, at one time?
Well, I thought it was. I liked it.
But do they do that though now so much?
I don't know.
I
that
don't
they
hear of
do.
it.
No, I don't
Right.
know that they do. Of course, they have speaking courses.
I suppose it's sort of the speech courses are an outgrowth of that, right? Do they have any courses to help people shut up? Or just to speak more? Is that all they have?
Well, I think that would be a good thing, but I'm not sure whether they do or not.
Folks, for Nancy Crosby to get a close-up, well, I meant like at an angle, honey. Yeah, that's good.
Now, this is python gel. It's green and blue to simulate water.
Oh, sure.
And we have swans that we made in class. This is with gum paste and royal icing.
Oh, gum paste and royal icing.
Right. And you place the swans. I
Oh,
think one is the
isn't
male, one is the
that
female, because this male here is looking at the female. And she is sort of looking down.
Well, females sort of look up.
Oh,
But
they do?
yeah, it must be the male. He's done something wrong.
Well, that could very well be.
So this is Celia Case, folks. Now she's put swans in the water. And now what do you plan to do, Celia?
Well, I'll have some leaves and greenery and some flowers in the corners. And dress it up a bit.
This is a regular, is it like a pound cake, hon?
Yes, it could be in almost any type of cake, any box mix if you don't feel like baking from scratch.
Really?
Right. We use box mix.
Can you put it right down on the, hold it right there. There. Yeah, right at an angle, so good. So
Okay?
yeah, oh, fine. Thank you, Celia Case. Now, and this, what do you call this around here, Terry?
This looks like to me like a reverse shell.
Simulated making it
reverse
one
shell.
way.
Not really reverse, but instead of a scroll type shell.
Do you do everything in reverse, or do you do?
No, not everything.
And so you're using this, what do you call
That's
these?
a star tip.
That's a star tip. And you're lovely. Could we, yeah.
Isn't that handsome? Isn't that handsome?
These are lovely red roses.
Those are rice flowers now, wafer flowers.
Tell us how you make those, Pat.
I buy them.
Oh, you buy them?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. You know.
And-
The other ones I make though. These here.
Oh,
the
those are
royal
your own
icing I
roses.
make.
You made those royal icing.
Right. To
And
make these here wafers, you'd have to use a certain amount of steam, and then it's
I
really
noticed,
a lot of work.
Peggy, it's quite interesting that you chose the number 4 roses. Is that of any significance?
You know that, huh?
Yeah, I know that, kid.
And that,
And the green is what? That's a different kind of icing. What is that?
That's gel. That's writing gel.
Oh, writing gel.
Yes, and
I
you color
see.
it yourself, and
Then you put on silver beads.
yes,
Right?
silver shots.
Now, would you call that cake complete?
I think so, except that you'd put happy birthday or whatever.
Oh, I see, yeah.
I'll put
Then Mr. Mackle will introduce our speaker, right? Would you like to pull the lucky number? Let's get them all shook up there.
Here we are.
One. Just make sure I got one. Okay. Thank you. Oh, no, you pulled 2. Wait a minute, now you pulled 2. Here's the 2 you pulled. You want to put them back or just choose one? No, I gotta take them. Okay, thank you. The number is 010939.
If you want me to Milford, I'll take it.
Carol Finn, very good.
That was because she knew she couldn't keep.
And now, Mr. Mackle, would you like to introduce the speaker?
How can you introduce me? You don't even know me.
Hey.
How can I introduce you? How can I introduce Glendora if I don't know her? Well, I think I do know her. We've been in each other's company here and there with interviews back and forth, and always on a serious vein, so to speak. Tonight, Glendora is going to take some of this seriousness and put a little humor around it and bring out what she's calling the humorous side, or humor in cable TV. And I think, just speaking briefly with Glendora before our meeting, that she will be humorous for us. I always find Glendora humorous anyway, even when she says she's serious. So, Glendora.
Thank you very much, Principal Howard Mankle at the Lincoln School. Hi there, folks. Yes, there has to be a humorous side of cable TV, or we'd all cry. I think one of the funniest things that happened very, very recently. There's this dog, the cable TV company is up on Great Hill Road, and it's woods up there, and it's owned by the Ansonia Water Company. And there's this black dog who's been out there, folks, since August. And he has no home or anything, you know. So I took food to him every day. But then I had another problem when the weather came, you know, the bad weather came, you know, how to keep him warm. You couldn't approach the dog. See, that was the thing. You couldn't get up to the dog and take care of him, get him that way. So I took in a blanket, and that worked all right, fine, until we started having all the snow. And then you see his blanket would get wet. So I'd have to change the blanket every day with another blanket. And so I'd forgotten to do that in the afternoon. And Freddie and I finished cable casting over Channel 10B, and I said, Fred, will you get down to the dog